Okay, so I'm going to help you with each one of these now. Number 8, I'm going to put them in the right spots too. Number 8 on this page. I'm going to show you how I got this far first. It's said in the problem that this was bisected, and the whole thing is 12, which means each part is 6 and 6. The word bisected is in the problem. Otherwise, you wouldn't know that they're both 6 and 6. Then it says that this part is 5 more than this part, which makes it x and x plus 5. And you know the rule from last week is this times this equals this times this. So you have x times x plus 5 equals 6 times 6. When you distribute, you get a quadratic on that side and 36. Now this rarely happens, but we did spend time doing it earlier in the year. When it's a quadratic, you have to get it set equal to 0. So I am subtracting the 36 over, making it equal to 0. Then I'm going to factor it. What are factors of 36 that add or subtract to 5? It's not 12 and 3, because they don't subtract or add to 5. It's not 6 times 6, they don't add or subtract to 5. But 9 times 4 multiply to 36, and 9 minus 4 is 5. The bigger factor is this sign. So the only way to get to positive 5 is to go up 5 and down 4. When you set these both equal to 0, you get the opposite signs. X equals negative 9 and x equals 4. You can't have a negative distance in geometry, so your answer for x is 4. But be careful, one of the multiple choices is 4, but that's not the answer, because it wants to know how long this piece is right here. And that's x plus 5. So x is 4, so 4 plus 5 is 9. Tricky question. Very unfair that they would put 4 as a choice. If you got that far, you'd get it wrong. Tricky multiple choice there. The next one was number 4 here. I just realized that was the first one. The one I just did was the second one, but I did them out of order. Anyhow, number 4, this is the picture, and it tells you that major arc A, B, C, and you know it's that way because it's A through B to C, if you look at the question, is 268 degrees. And it wants you to find out what angle ABC is in here. Well, angle ABC is related to this arc. The entire circle is 360. If you take away 268, you get 92. This arc is 92. That's inscribed, so that angle is going to be half of 92, which is 46. So then I'm jumping to page 11. So I fast forwarded here all the way to page 11, and page 11, number 4. Page 11, number 4 has 2 parallel chords, A, B, and C, D. It says that they're parallel in the problem. It's in the words there. And then it says arc CD at the top here. This arc at the top is 130 degrees. You can see that you have a diameter here. So this whole thing is 180. If that's 180, and we've already used 130 there, 180 minus 130 is 50. So that means that these are going to be equal, because the lines were parallel. And if we had 50 left over, each one of these has to be 25. Both of those have to be 25. Same piece of paper in the packet, we go to number 12 on page 13. It tells you that AP is X, so you're looking for PA, so you put an X there. It tells you that PB is 3 and BC is 16. So it's the outside part times itself equals the outside part times the whole thing, not just 15, the whole thing. So I have x squared equals 18 times 3. And then what 2 perfect squares go into 54? 9 and 6. 9 is the biggest perfect square that goes into 54. Square root of 9 is 3. You leave the 6. It's choice 2. If you didn't feel comfortable breaking down radicals, type in radical 54 into your calculator and then see which of the four choices is also the same decimal when you type those in. All right, so I'm on page 24 now, which is the 23 to 25 section in the packet, but it's page 24 in your green book, number 21. This is something that came up during the Kahoot, and I mentioned it once in class. We didn't do a whole lot of examples on it, but this isn't a parallelogram necessarily or any fancy shape. It's just a quadrilateral. It's a four-sided shape that's inscribed in a circle, meaning any shape in the world, if you could put your 4 points anywhere you wanted. It could make a funky four-sided shape, and that's considered an inscribed quadrilateral. If that's true, if the four corners are all on the circle, then opposite angles they're not equal, but they add up to 180. They're always going to be supplementary. These two angles are going to be supplementary, and these two angles are going to be supplementary. I want you to find both. So you had 80 equals y plus 30, and it has 75 equals x minus 10. You can solve them both. Take away 30 from both sides, y is 50, and add 10 to both sides, and x is 85. Check out your choices. And I did those two out of order again, so we go back. I just happened to see that one first, but 16 is just before that 21. And 16 is at the bottom of page 23 in your booklet. And it wants you to compare four choices and see which one is not true. The first choice says ABC is a right triangle. Is that true or not? If this is a diameter, I taught you that if you make a triangle using the diameter, then this is always 90 no matter what. So that is true. So that can't be the choice. We're looking for the one that's not true. That is a right triangle. Then it says triangle ABM is isosceles. ABM is this triangle right here. Is that isosceles? Well, this is a radius. This is a radius. So they're the same, so it has to be an isosceles triangle. So that's true. Choice 3 says arc BC is the same as angle BMC. So arc BC is the same as BMC. Angle BMC. Angle BMC is right there. That's a central angle. So that's going to be the same as that arc. So those two are the same as well. Last choice says that arc AB, which is this, is half of this angle. That relationship sounds familiar, but this arc isn't half of this angle. It's the other way around. That arc is twice that angle. So the one that's not true is choice 4. And this was a little more complicated problem here. It's got to do with sectors, which we just talked about. They want to know the area of the shaded sector, but it gives you the area of the unshaded sector. So you can use I'm going to do this the way I taught you to see if it makes sense to you. The number they give us for the area, they give us the area here. They say it's 500 pi square inches. So we have pi r squared times, we don't know the angle. We're trying to find that over 360, but we do know that that equals 500 pi inches squared. So we know the answer. We're looking for that angle. If you have two sides of an equation and they both have something on one side, on each side you can get rid of it. So there's a pi there and a pi there. So we can balance the equation and get rid of both of them. 25 squared is 625. So now I have that on one side and that on the other. So it's 625x over 360 equals 500. I'm going to cancel that 360 by doing that on both sides. So now I have 625x equals 180,000. That's what that is. I'm going to divide both sides by 625, and I'm going to get 288 degrees. Now you just have to be careful here because 288 is this arc and this wide angle. It wanted us to know this one. So we just take 360 minus 288. And we have 72 degrees. There you go.